do you look for inspiration when you just don't know what you're doing? I have no idea where I'm going with this. I basically just grabbed some images that I thought looked interesting that were hiding in my drawers, and this is what we have. As you know, I love working with black and white. This is a great image, so I think this gentleman will be my focal point. Did some fancy cutting with a little arrangement of pasta here, and then I thought he looked interesting too, possibly as a backdrop for my focal point. Again, some black and white. I think I might make this kind of an abstract type of image. I liked this too. It's not as large as I would like it to be, but I think it'll do. I think I can get away with it. Maybe, maybe not. And another hand. I do like the feel of the hands in this possible collage. I did some fancy cutting for these rings, and still not sure. Still not sure where I'm going to go with it. I cut his hand out. I believe I'm going to keep his hand because of the wonderful contrast of this very, very dark. It's not quite black. There's no such thing as pure black or pure white, kids. You're going to learn that in art school and in life in general. You put different shades of black and white together, they're never the same. and that's what makes it so special. So I believe I'm going to be keeping this hand. Again, lots of fussy cutting there. I just haven't removed it yet completely from the image because, again, not sure what I'm going to do. I also have off to the side here a couple of other neat things. This glass panther and then this wonderful vintage image of a chimney sweep. And I thought about adding them here, but I want to be careful because then you're talking about other focal points and these might contrast with that in a way that I won't like. I also have this image. It was another fussy cut. I didn't do it just now, but I did do it, oh, I think it was maybe last weekend. Doesn't matter, but I really like the image of it. It was just a light fixture in Design Magazine. Then I have these two pieces as possible backdrops or maybe stencil filling items. I think this is from a holy festival, and this is from that Wonderful Life magazine, and I'm not sure if I'm going to use it. It's pretty wild and loud. Of course, I could have it going this way. When in doubt, if you're not sure if something's going to work, turn it upside down, put it at an angle, and the next thing you know, it does work. I think I want to use this, though. I like this a lot. I also have some backgrounds, like a wonderful Moonscape. That's a great contrast. And then there's just a basic dark blue that I'd like to use. I think I want to cut this a little bit more, just to give it a nice straight edge. I finally got a straight edge that is smaller than my old typography ruler. Just give that a clean up. In addition, we have off to the side here some security envelopes. So that was something Miss Mia Bloom Designs. I'll put a link to her channel in the description. Wonderful idea of using security envelopes, and that's because on the inside are these very simple but lovely designs that you can use. And gosh, we know that's for free. But it's from a security envelope, so you got a bill to go with it maybe, or just personal information. So I hang on to these when I get them, especially when they have different colors. I've been lucky lately. Some of them have like these wonderful reds and pinks going on. This has a nice big piece. Should be a nice solid piece of security design. Cut this out. Not the neatest cut. Doesn't have to be too fussy. So we have a nice piece here. I can use this for later. I'm just going to cut here and stay away from the little window. Just make a nice square. Because sometimes that's a nice balance. If you're at a loss for a background, you can just use other geometric images. And that could be something that'll work. If not for this collage, then for another one. This would be a smaller piece. Again, I don't really want to use the window. There's no need for it. Just toss it into the recycle bin, of course. Yeah, let's see. Again, I'm being a little messy here. Messier than I was just a few moments ago when I was doing all of that intricate cutting, which I really enjoy doing. It's very soothing to me. Nice black and white. I'm going to think about this because I already have something going on with that. So we have plenty to work with in terms of security envelopes. Let me just cut this up. I just want to have it cut and ready to go. Because coming up in just a few moments here is my favorite part of collage, when I have my ephemera put together and I start putting together my ideas. We'll see. We might use those. We might use this. Everything's in the might stage right now. Okay, so what do I want to do with my focal point? Where would I like him? Well, I do keep coming back to the Moonscape. I don't know if this is the moon. I'm not really sure what it was. It almost reminds me of like the Salton Sea here in California, or actually Mono Lake, but I don't think it's Mono Lake. I'm really not sure what it was. He's almost big enough. Let me just trim him down a little bit. I think he will fit on this Moonscape. Just give it a trim. He'll get a fussy trim in a minute here, but in the interim, I just want to see how he's going to work. Is our stuff in the trash? Okay, yeah, he will fit perfectly on here, and I like that. So I can keep him intact, and if we use something this colorful, possibly for the body, if I do a stencil of his body, that might be interesting also. And I'm kind of reluctant to remove his head because he has such a great look about him, but I liked this also. I'll wait till the last minute actually before I do that. I also thought about having him standing in the spaghetti. So what I would do is that tucking technique I've shown you all before, and if I do that today, I'll obviously present it to you, but really quick in case I don't. I just find areas in the image that I can cut along like a natural curve, like the curve of the noodle. I would cut along here. That way I could just tuck the other image. Like if I cut his legs out, I can just tuck them in so it looks like he's standing in there. And that way you don't have to do a lot of cutting. You don't have to do a lot of gluing. And there's very little mess. So that's why I love using that tucking technique. Maybe we'll use it. I like this hand coming up. The only problem with this image, first of all, it was very light. I almost couldn't see the finger. And also she was holding something. So I'm going to have to contend with that. And I think I can. I don't think it'll be that big of a deal. I'm not going to worry about it too much. I may not even use it. I like this hand also is kind of cool, and it only had a little bit of image overlapping on the finger that obviously we cut that image away. So when I cut this guy out, now I got to be careful here because if he is my focal point and I have this also, they're going to conflict. I wanted it to be kind of like a backdrop for him. I think the next thing to decide here is, do I cut out this body and give him another body? Or do I think I'm going to definitely cut out the body. That's just what I do. And I can cut out portions of. So what I could do here, he's wearing some type of like a net-like shirt, for lack of better terms. And because he's so solid, he's going to be a nice contrast to whatever I might put in here. So here we are cutting along where that shirt is. I'm going to cut that out. I believe I'm going to keep the pants. Still in the thinking stages here. Like I said, it's the best part. I love the thinking stages of when I have some really nice ephemera and I can make something with it. Yeah. Okay. Do I keep this? No, because there's it doesn't mean much without him. Okay, so this is what I was talking about. Maybe something like this. Remember, turn your stuff upside down, inside out. Just playing with that. Well, here we also have, I'm going to stay away from another dark image because it's silly, because he was already wearing, it was kind of dark, so it doesn't really make sense. There's this, but it's not very exciting. But we have them just in case. Well, there's always this. This is a great image on its own. It could be a focal point for another collage, but what if I did this? How does that look? That's kind of cool, isn't it? And then we could cut the arms out. And then why that looks interesting, why I'm thinking in that vein is because the pasta might be something interesting. But that means I'm going to have to cut the pants off also. I don't think it's a big deal. I really like the way that looks. Okay. You know what? Let's just go ahead and give the pants a trim and give him a whole new outfit. So we have a nice stencil or template. I'm still not sure which one it's going to be. But we have this going on, and I just went ahead, cut out the pants, like I shared before, did that off screen. We've got to keep everything intact, including that negative space, which is vital when I'm going to cut it out. So I had to be really careful cutting along those edges. It's fine. It wasn't terribly difficult because it's a good quality magazine. The vintage magazines are a whole other story. now I'm wondering, maybe this wasn't such a good idea because look, I don't have a lot of this wire guy. We may have to cut it up to make sure we have enough for the stencil. We definitely had enough for his torso. Maybe I need to give him a different pair of pants. Or maybe, I don't know. I think I'm going to use this disembodied head as his head. We could do this. How does this look? So this is why I love this technique, because it allows me to play with my, my ephemera, and I have options. Okay, see, originally we had plenty for his torso, so it would be something like this, maybe. That is different. Oh, maybe I really wanted the whole body, maybe. Well, with the whole body, it's definitely interesting, but then it again, we're talking about contrast. Contrast is pretty important with collage. It's important with any art form. Let's go back to this, the holy stuff. It's cool. Not as. It's interesting. Oh boy. Well, if worst comes to worst, we can reattach his pants. I didn't throw them out. I try very hard not to do that when I am creating a collage. I don't want to throw everything out. So I could almost reattach the pants. That would be a new one for the channel. I don't usually reattach anything. And then here we go. And that looks good. Well, regardless, I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the plunge, and I think I am going to go ahead and cut anyway. And I wanted to use torso, so we'll have plenty for the torso. Let's get this way, because I'm going to have to do more fussy cutting here, and I'm kind of tired now of cutting. Okay, that actually fits perfectly for what I need, which would just be this area. So, let's go ahead and, I might need some tape. I need to get some tape first. All right, so, success. I was able to glue the pants back on. Well, I used packing tape. Other areas though, like the neck and this arm, I need to get a little more packing tape and just secure it that way. And it shouldn't interfere too much with the final cutting, because as I've shared before, the more packing tape you use, packing tape is great because I feel it's cleaner than using glue, but the more you use, the more you have to cut through when you're cutting through the final image. But in this case, I think we're going to be fine. I'm just going to do a little bit more cutting right here. Give that a nice cut, nice and clean, and we should be good, because the pants are, the pants are attached, they're already cut out. I just haven't cut this part out yet, only because I'm not sure how things are gonna end up here. So I'm gonna cut this extraneous paper off. We don't really need it anymore. So here he is, our guy. And this was what I thought about using for the head. I was going to keep the head intact on the model for a minute, only because it helps with taping down the new head. Yeah. Nice disembodied head. I have this too. I don't know if this is going to work. Now we're getting really crazy and real busy. I don't think I want to do that. Here's this. So I think what I need to do, the hand is attached now to the new torso with the wiring. I'm going to go ahead and free that hand. Just cut it out. I like the hand a lot because, again, we have wonderful contrast going on. In a way, the hand becomes something of a focal point. I'm not cutting his head off just yet because, again, I'm not 110% sure what I want to do next. We're still attached here, so I'm going to come back in with my X-Acto. Fingers do that sometimes, that wonderful negative space. You really want to be cognizant of it. You want to be careful with it. And I'm really tougher than I thought. I'm just going to saw away at this. I can always give him a manicure. There we go. Now it's free. Okay. Here we go. Here's the head. I want to do this after all. I'm not sure. It's creepy. Maybe cutting away at this stuff. Do I need this? Just gonna cut away some of the design. Was originally supposed to be there. Well, since we've gone this far. Just cleaning it up a bit. Head in a box. Okay, let's move that away. We still have some wires left over. I'm going to hang on to those for a little bit because I don't know if I'm going to need them. Not necessarily for this collage, but maybe they'll make their way into another. Remember, we still have stuff like this that can also be interesting, but not a lot of contrast there. Could do that. It's funny because this box thing, this boxed head, almost fits perfectly on this place. So I'm gonna do a little more cutting for our guy. Probably won't need the top of his head too much. I'm just gonna go, you know what, let's just go ahead and go with what we were originally planning, which was we weren't gonna use this head. I'm gonna actually cut it in half. Huh, that looks kind of interesting too. I have cut heads in half, as you know. That might be somewhat interesting too. Actually, that's kind of weird. Maybe? Or this. I can tuck this here. Yeah, a little odd. I think the reason I'm feeling kind of ambivalent about this is because it's not very large. Size is very important in collage. It is part of the contrast and importance to the composition. Now remember, we still have some of this wiring left. I could use it in back of the head. Is that going to be interesting? Like as part of the head? Not totally necessary, but it kind of brings it together. I don't know. That looks kind of interesting because the head was cut in half. And do something like this maybe. Which I do that. I did that in the most recent collage I did this in was rendering, and I liked how that came out with the ketchup. And I also like Clockhead. I love Clockhead. That's actually one of my favorite collages that I've done recently. And this is kind of reminding me of that. That might work. I'm going to wait for just a second. And that being said, I think I'm good with the rest of the body. So let's go ahead and just release this. Thought I released it before, but apparently not. Just use my scissors here. The X-Acto is great, but sometimes, you know, if you can use your scissors, I'd rather use my scissors. It's just more soothing, probably easier on the hands. I've had issues with carpal tunnel in the past, but unrelated to collage. Carpal tunnel is something that I've dealt with, but not because I was doing collage work. Actually, I didn't have carpal tunnel issues when I was doing art. It was just with a lot of data entry that I was doing. So that aside, Okay, I got a little bit of background there. I want to clear that. Okay, that came out nice. So now we have this. I'm just going to play a little bit here. We have this. That looks very creepy. I do want to use this Moonscape that I shared with you before because I think everything stands out really super cool. Almost, you know, him not having his head kind of looks interesting. But he's the focal point. Okay, here's the pasta, and I'm not leaning towards the pasta too much anymore. I'm going to go back to this. This is kind of keeping it simple. One thing for me when I do collage, I talk about the minimal collages that I enjoy doing. And the reason I like the minimal collages is because there's not a lot going on. It just keeps things nice and neat. I'm coming back here now. No. Okay, then there was this. I'm going to turn it upside down. Just turn it upside down. That's definitely different. I think he needs something. I think he does need. He needs a head. Oh boy, what have I done? Let's see. I do like this background, but now I'm thinking maybe not so much. Put it at an angle, maybe. Then there was the hand, the female hand. Where did it go? Oh, here it is. Had this female hand, kind of reaching up, almost like to connect with his hand. This background might be throwing me off also. I'm going to return to that in a minute. Problem we've run into is I switched gears for my focal point. That's, gosh, I don't know. I may have to put this off to the side and walk away from it for a minute. It's interesting, but it's just not big enough to me. Unless we do something like this, maybe? I don't know. May have to find a new head for him, and then you run into problems because you're deviating from your focal point. Okay, I liked this. Remember, I wanted to maybe do this for a portion of his head. I'm going to try something here. I'm going to cut even more away because I want to show maybe that half portion of our original model's head. So a little bit of fussy cutting right now. Or maybe not. Well, okay, that actually kind of works. I just don't know if I like it. That's the only thing. So there was this. Was the jewelry that we were cutting earlier. That's kind of interesting in a strange, surreal way. But again, it's not. It's something's not working here for me. I think this was the head of the original piece. So what I could do, and we can just experiment here a little bit. I can go ahead and put a small piece of tape. Now packing tape is semi-forgiving if you adhere it. It doesn't necessarily have to stay. It's actually kind of easy to pull up. And by easy, I mean you can just, you know, like hinge it, like I'm doing here, just hinge it. And it's on there if I decide to keep it. And I'm just going to do some quick cutting here. It doesn't have to be exact because it doesn't matter if it's exact. I just want that negative space that I worked so hard on to show through. Same here. And scissors come in handy. Okay. There we go. That's kind of, actually I kind of like that. That looks better. I'm feeling better about it. I am going to cut here. So we have more of the red showing. There we go. Now, I think we're good. It's different. We are collaging today. That's a little different. So here we are with this. Do I want to use her hand? I also had the other hand, both vintage paper, but her hand seems to be reaching in an interesting. And we have the size contrast here. That's really nice. His hand and her hand, but her hand is a bit, it's a little different. It's a little messy. He's good. Okay, we could do this too. I think I like this. He's good. I think we're done with him. She needs a little more work. She needs to be holding something. Well, okay. So what I can do, I really like that. So we need her to be holding that. I'm going to do the tucking method here that I talked about with the possible pasta. That pasta image. Then I'm not going to use it now in this collage, so I'm going to cut away here. It may not even be much of a tuck because I don't want this piece here anyway. I mean, it looks kind of, I can do that. I can just, but you see we have a weird cut here, so I want it to look as natural as possible, like it was always meant to be that way. Let's see what we can do here. This is an okay image of a hand. It's not the greatest. If this doesn't work, maybe I can root around and find something that does work. But you know how that goes. You think, you're looking for something specific and you can't find it until later when you absolutely don't need it. And then you find it and you're like, oh, I needed you a week ago and now I don't need you. And here you are. So I don't really like going to look for anything specific after I've already started working on a collage. I mean, looking for maybe a background or just a very ancillary element. I want to have everything ready, but not when it comes to my focal point stuff. I want to have my focal point ready. I'm almost thinking about cutting away the rest of this box. I'm going to do a little bit more cutting. Wow, I really pared this down. I think that's all I'm going to do. I don't want to cut too much more away. Also, it looks like she's holding, maybe something like this. Or, well, upside down now, because then you can't read it as a head. Maybe this. That kind of works. Yeah, that works pretty good. I'm going to go ahead. I want to tape it down that way. So we had it. It covers up everything. It covers up everything we need to cover up. And does the job pretty well. Yeah, just like that. Okay. Go ahead. Ahead. See what I did there? I know. Laura should not make jokes. Don't do that again. Okay, I've kind of committed it. This was from a vintage magazine. She is from a vintage magazine. If I want to pull this tape up, I'm going to be very careful. The trick around that, if you want to, if I come back and go, yikes, I don't like this, take your X-Acto and just cut along the edge and free it that way. Don't pull up the tape because you're definitely going to rip. So, you don't want to do that. Okay, here we go. And then it looks something like this. I could tuck her hand also in this. Okay, so here we go with the tucking method again. I have this bit here, it's a shadow. It could look like the hand is coming through the ground. It really gives it a nice surreal quality then. So I'm going to cut enough, I think, to fit this hand in here. Let's see. Okay, it definitely fits. I may have to cut a little bit more. Ooh, careful. It doesn't definitely fit. I lied to you all. I need to cut a little bit more. Okay, let's see. Cut. I'm looking at it through the shadow, so I have a good cut, so it looks natural. Okay. I don't know how natural. Okay, this is good because now we can play with where this is going to go. And our focal point. Where is he going to go? Where is he standing here? And we can kind of have her fingers overlap him a little bit. Yeah, that's different. That is very weird and different. Yeah, I think I might call it done. Contrast wise, I think it's pretty good. I'm not super thrilled with some aspects of this. I'm gonna just clean up these legs here because I still see some white from the original backdrop for the picture. Let's go ahead and cut away the white. But I think all in all, kind of weird and scary. I'm gonna go ahead again here and see. We want her hand kind of like she's, yeah, something like that. I think that's good. Okay. I'm gonna bring his head down just a little bit more. Okay. I think we're on to something. I think this is it. That's didn't take too long to figure out. I'm happy with it. I'm going to call it done. I hope you're happy with it. I hope you enjoyed this little collage adventure today. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I will see you in the next video.